No matter where you come from, no matter where you
stand. I think that's what we're singing. Cat Williams, I will stand for love. Each and everyone for being here. And just as we stand for love, we turn within for love. Join me in an opening prayer. We turn our awareness within this morning, and in that spirit of community, of love, of celebration, in the opportunity to bring our voices together, to realize what is created when we come together and focus on expressing a song together. Today we turn within, deeply within, to recognize ourselves as a great conduit, if you will, in the chain of life. And what it means to know yourself as the point of presence between cause and effect, source and substance, and to know yourself as a creative being, causative, creating effects, affects. And so for this time, this gather today as we explore, may we be blessed that we may be a blessing. And for the sacred time together, we are truly grateful. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Welcome this morning to this beautiful, beautiful day. Take an opportunity, if you're in the building, to turn and to wave and welcome those that are joining us online, virtually, wherever you are. We want to join you and welcome you to being here. We also like to acknowledge our young people. We have some that are in the chapel and some who have already gone back into the Sunday school program. But from our little ones to our teens, we have a youth program, and so as they prepare to go back, the ones that would like to enjoy a Sunday school experience, we send this blessing to them. Tia, they may need you. We had 2 of our teachers with symptoms. We don't allow teachers, to work with children if they have symptoms. So we're two teachers short today, and our children have multiplied, which is a beautiful thing. So we're going to affirm to this dynamic youth program. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. Oh my gosh, it warms my heart to see that beautiful group of young people. Thank you so much for being here. We extend that same spirit of welcome to each and every one of you. If it is your first time, if you raise your hand and keep it up for a moment, we have some around. Unity folks, if you will lovingly point and help our ushers find any that are here for the first time, they're going to extend a welcoming card to you. If you wear that heart, it helps us acknowledge your presence as a first-timer and make ourselves more available to welcome you. But to each and every one of you, whether it's your first time or this is your spiritual home, let us extend that blessing to one another again that says, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. We are so blessed to have such incredible talent among our band right here. Our very own Dave De La Rosa has written a beautiful song that he's going to share with us to help prepare us for our time together today. And as he's preparing, I want to ask you, if you've not yet turned your cell phone off, this would be a great time, and would you help me welcome Dave De La Rosa?
Take hold of my hand, that's part of the plan. All living for all, giving to all with love. Reach far as you can, that's part of the plan. All reaching for all, touching us all with love. All the words have been written, all the songs have been sung. Now all that is left is to see we are one. Have faith in man, that's part of the plan. All believing in all, no deceiving at all, just love. All the songs have been sung. Now all that is left is to see we are one. Take hold of my hand, that's part of the plan. All living for all, giving to all with love. All reaching for all, touching us all with love. All
Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Darlene. I'm the Associate Minister here at Unity of the Blue Ridge. I want to welcome you to this beautiful day in this beautiful sanctuary and chapel. I wanted to share with you an inspirational reading. It's by the Buddhist teacher Jack Kornfield. He says, to cultivate generosity directly is another fundamental part of living a spiritual life. Like the training precepts and like our inner meditations, generosity can actually be practiced. With practice, its spirit forms our actions and our hearts will grow stronger and lighter. It can lead to new levels of insight, connection, and liberation. Generosity may come naturally to some people, but most of us must intentionally cultivate it. Practicing generosity develops awareness of community, dissolves the artificial boundaries we build around ourselves, and brings happiness and joy. It is a vital element of the liberating path.
Beautiful Ricky Byers song by our amazing band. Would you show them your love again? They'll be back in a little bit. Thank you all. Thank you all. So what does it mean to be in right relationship with the flow of life? What does it mean to you to be in right relationship with the flow of life? What does it mean to be a conscious conduit, a channel, a vessel in the chain, in the flow of life, connected to cause, to source, connected to your capacity to have an impact, to bring about an effect? That's what we're going to talk about today when we begin to delve into the gateway of generosity. You know, the word generosity brings up a lot of things, and I'm asking you for this time, let's just suspend all of that and go in and look at generosity from a new perspective, perhaps, as a spiritual gateway. What is the gateway of generosity? So let's go back in time, exact day of May 21st, 1997, New York City, Radio City Music Hall. That particular evening was the Emmy Awards, and a Lifetime Achievement Award was being presented to none other than Mr. Rogers. You know, the TV author, Presbyterian Fred Rogers. He was receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Emmys, Radio City Music Hall, for being a role model and a source of inspiration to children of all ages. And so they invited him up to the stage. He receives the award. And this is what he said. He said, "It is a beautiful night in the neighborhood." He said, "So many people have helped me come to this night. Some of you are here, some of you are far away, and some are in heaven." He said, "All of us here have loved ones and people who have loved us into being. We all have people whose generosity toward us helped us become who we are." He said, "Would you take 10 seconds of silence together now and let us think of those people?" He said, "I'll time us. Let's begin now." And he looked at his watch and dropped his head. This place filled with notable movie stars, and everybody dropped their head, but the camera crew like, "What? What is he doing? This is live television." And so, not wanting to stare at Mr. Rogers for 10 seconds, just standing there, they began to pan the audience. And it became a very memorable moment, and you can watch it online, because these recognizable names and talents and movie stars were sitting there with tears streaming down their face. 10 seconds of thinking about the fact that you've been loved into being. Sometimes it might not feel like it, but if somebody didn't love you, you would not be here today. It takes love to get us to this point in life. And if you begin to think about, you know, the fact that we've all been loved into being, and we've all experienced kindness and generosity, and we have all been the giver, the bestower. You have been compassionate and kind, and you have been the giver of generosity. And that's what we're talking about today, generosity as a gateway, a spiritual practice. Generosity is regarded as an essential attribute in all spiritual traditions, in all deep philosophies. Generosity, at the essence of it, is about discovering who we are and what we have to contribute, and how to do that in a way for purposes of good. And of course, it enhances, when we are generous, it enhances those that you're directing that generosity toward. But even more importantly, it enhances and it does something in the life of the individual who is being generous. Generosity is an attitude, and it's a part of our consciousness, awareness. And generosity is also an action. It's the two together. It's awareness and action working together to live something out. As I mentioned, it's found in all spiritual traditions. I grew up in the Christian tradition, and I heard a lot about it. Jesus has a lot to say on the topic of generosity. It's recorded in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. It shows up in all three of them, where it says, whoever tries to keep their life, whoever tries to preserve their self will lose it. But whoever gives their self, whoever gives their life will save it, will have it to give. He also, in the Gospel of Luke, teaches us a little bit about spiritual economy. Because in this particular story, there's a woman who's known as a widow. And a widow is known by, if you say this person is a widow or a widower, the first thing that comes to mind is something that's missing in their life, right? They're known by the loss of their spouse, their partner. So there's that dynamic in consciousness that it seems to be known by what is lost. And so this widow gave a 1 mite, which it was the lowest form of currency. It'd be the equivalent of a penny. That if someone offered a penny and stood alongside this very rich man who gave this lavish gift, but Jesus made a point to point out to the audience, he said, who gave the greatest gift? It was her. And the reason, what he was pointing out, is because in the economy of spirit, in the world of energy and of consciousness, what is so much more important is the awareness, the consciousness, the energy from which, the spirit within which we're giving the gift. Amen? That is what is first and foremost important. Not only is it found in that tradition, if you look to the Buddhist tradition, the Buddha said, if you knew what I know about the power of generosity, you would not let a single meal go by without sharing it. In the Buddhist tradition, generosity is called dana, D-A-N-A, and it's the foundation of the Buddhist path. It's the first principle that's taught, because without generosity, there's no way to find your way to enlightenment. It's learning to know yourself as a channel, an instrument that has a connection. In the Hindu tradition, there's a proverb, they who have all things, they who give have all things, they who withhold have nothing. In the Baha'i tradition, we must be like the fountain or spring that is continually emptying itself of all that it has and continually being refilled from an invisible source. And then from the Tao, the Tao Te Ching, Tao, T-A-O, what the Tao means is it's the life force, the prana, the chi, the Holy Spirit, the breath of life. And the Tao is also then the guiding principle that operates through that life force. And so in the Tao Te Ching, it says, the Tao is like a well, but it's never used up. It's hidden, but it's always present in you. When you look for it, there's nothing to see. When you listen for it, there's nothing to hear, but when you use it, it's inexhaustible. You see, when you begin to look at that topic through the different sacred traditions, it begins to point us to something about generosity is about knowing who you are and being in what you could call right relationship with the flow of life. Maybe one of the best ways of saying it is through a book title. Christian Smith and Hilary Davis have written a book which is titled The Paradox of Generosity. Giving, we receive. Grasping, we lose. Generosity, it's a practice every time you say the food. I grew up in a home where you better not eat anything until you said the blessing. I mean, that was a strict thing in our house. We had to say the blessing. And as I've gotten older, there were times in my life, I think probably because it was forced on us, that there were times in my life when I got older, I rebelled, like, I'm going to eat and I'm not going to say the blessing. Because God's not going to strike me dead, you know. And I needed to find my way through that. But today, one of the most sacred things I enjoy doing before I eat anything is to pause and to do something like this. I begin by saying, I give thanks to the source of life. I give thanks to the source of life and to the bounty of the earth. that brings this before me. I give thanks for all that is given of itself to bring it here. And I receive it into my body that I may be blessed, that I may be energized by it, that I may then be of service. Did you see the cycle in that? You see the whole practice of a blessing of our food, or of catching a fish, or of cutting a flower. The part of blessing and generosity is to see, to always remember how we're part of the sacred connection of life, that it didn't just fall out of the sky, that these things were given to us. It's an energy, it's a gift, and that we receive these and acknowledge the ultimate source. And then we acknowledge how it is contributing to us, how it's benefiting us, so that we in turn can be fueled and energized and then give in return. That's, in a nutshell, what generosity is really about. In simple truths, Ken Nurburn writes, "Giving is a miracle that can transform the heaviest hearts. Two people who moments before lived in separate worlds of private concern suddenly meet each other over the simple act of sharing. The world expands, a moment of goodness is created, and something new comes into being where before there was nothing. You see, true giving is not an economic exchange. It is a generative act. It does not subtract from what we have. It multiplies the effect, the impact of what we can have in the world. You know, you can give and not be generous, but you cannot be generous and not give. Make your contribution. And to me, it's important to say, I think a lot of people, when we hear give, the first thing they think is money. And that's for good reason, because in our culture, money, currency, listen to the words, currency, in the flow, energy. Money is our greatest form in many ways of how we put that into motion. But it certainly is not all and not the only way. There's so many ways and things that you can put yourself in the way that you can give of yourself. You can give of your time, of your attention. You can share your gifts that you have, your talents. You can give a compliment, a genuine give of your presence, whatever you have to give that allows you to demonstrate what it is to be truly, truly generous. The Buddha said, even if one throws away your leftovers in the pond with the desire that it should be nourishment for the fish, then one will reap the joys of a gracious heart. And so, do you think of yourself as a generous person? And what helps you feel more generous toward others? What makes it difficult for you to follow your more generous impulses? Who are the generous people in your world? And why, when you notice and observe someone as being a generous individual, why? And what would it look like for you to stretch your capacity to be even more generous? The first thing that I believe is to bring awareness and to realize that we can do it right where we are. To take that extra few moments to instill the spirit and the intention of giving this gift. Sometimes when we give, we may give out of obligation or expectation. We can give because of fear or taboo of tradition. We can give because we are hoping to get something in return. We can give with strings attached. Maybe we want to be recognized. It's easy to give. How many of you have a child, a grandchild, or a pet who has you wrapped around their pinky or their paw? It's so easy to give when they're cute. My little teeny dog, who was Zoe Grace, never got above 3.5 pounds. And you know, when they get older and they require you to get up during the night, I looked at her many times and said, "It's a good thing I love you the way I do." That when you just love, when you have that level of love, it's easier. It's the truth. It's easy to give to people that we love and who we deem worthy. Oh, they're going to do something, whatever. And sometimes we also give just not even thinking about it and thereby missing part of the gift. And I also know folks that they'll give and you're like, "Thank you." And oh, no, it was nothing. Do you realize we're missing to fully connect with what generosity really is? If it prevents us from being in touch with our generous spirit, and the capacity to give. And generosity also puts us in touch with being a generous receiver. A receiver. I just went through a time in my life where I got to practice being a generous receiver. Can I bring you some soup? Can I drive you here? Can I do this? Can I do that? When you typically do for others and you're very independent, it's not as easy to say yes. And all of us need to learn that unless we can be on the other end, you could be robbing somebody's blessing, to be a generous giver and a generous receiver. So it begins right where we are. Desmond Tutu said, start where you are and do what you can. I heard once on NPR, they were quoting a research that had been done in Vancouver. It was with 4th and 5th grade children. They put the children, 4th and 5th graders, in 2 groups. And group 1 was assigned, go different places. Just go, experience a different place, enjoy. And it could be somebody's house, a park, a mall. It didn't have to be anything extravagant, but that group of children, their assignment was go, experience, enjoy. The second group was do random acts of kindness. It could be anything, hugging a parent, volunteering to help with dishes, sharing your snack, picking up something. They just said do random acts of kindness. And of course, as they do with any study, they did studies, measures before and measures after, and the results were dramatic. The children that did the random acts of kindness, some of the things they didn't expect to go up, they thought maybe they'd be a little happier. But not only were they happier, they were far more confident. What began to happen with those children is they realized they had something to give. They could make a difference. I remember in my previous ministry, we had a thriving YOU group. YOU stands for Youth of Unity. And one of the things that we did, which we're beginning to do more of here, was create intergenerational opportunities. And so one Sunday I had gone out and I'd met with the youth and we were talking about, how could they serve? And they couldn't think of anything. And I said, how many of you are good with cell phones? How many of you know how to work with digital watches? They all did. I said, let's try something. What if one Sunday we set up some tables and we invite people in our church, us old people who can't get our alarm clock. Why does that blink every day at 6 o'clock? My parents have things in their house like, honey, I don't know. It just turned to Portuguese. I don't know why it speaks prints like that now. Or they had weird things happening. And so we invited our congregation, bring in your phones, your computers. We had lines. And those young people just fixed it. And you should have seen them. They're like, we have a gift. They didn't even know it was a gift. So you see, that's both sides of that. When you encourage people right where you are, what do you have to share? Begin right where you are. From there, I encourage you to step it up. Step it up. This year to me is really about don't hold back. If not now, when? And if not us, who? Amen? That what are we holding back for? And so pick some opportunities. Be intentional. Do something and do it big. And if you don't, Spirit may prompt you to do it, to get you moving in that motion. Edward Hayes, in Prayer Notes to a Friend, writes, make extravagant generosity your greatest vice and become godlike. That's pretty powerful. That when we can do some pretty amazing things. Marilyn Kinsinglaw was a college student. She said, I forgot about the rules on liquids and carry-on luggage. So when I hit security at the airport and I was in a rush to catch my flight, I had to give up all my painting supplies. It was a whole case full, and I was heartbroken, but it was also a huge financial hit to me as an art student. She said a week later when I returned home and I went into baggage claim, she said I was literally blown away when one of the baggage area people was standing there holding my bag, waiting for me. She said the attendant was at the baggage area with my paints. Not only had he kept them for me, but he'd looked up my return date and the time that I was going to be there in order to meet me at baggage claim. Yeah, I truly believe more of this happens every day than you possibly know about. That to take the time to go the extra step. That's the whole story of the Good Samaritan. You remember Jesus told the story of the Good Samaritan, the road between Jericho and Jerusalem, which was known as a dangerous place to travel. And so he tells his audience the story about a man had been robbed and beaten up and left to die. And along comes a priest. And what does the priest do? He goes all the way to the other side to get around it. It's not my mess. My name ain't Bennett. I ain't in it. And keeps on walking. And then there comes a Levi. The Levi walks by and I don't, what are you talking about? I don't see it. Goes on. But then the Samaritan. Jesus picked the Samaritan because the Samaritans were the half-breeds. They weren't pure. It would have been saying like, Jerry Falwell was walking by and a drag queen stopped and helped him. You'd be like, what? That's the way his audience would have reacted, like those two, the Samaritan and the help, that's the person that helped. He was trying to make a point to say, tell me who is showing up here. Is it the ones that just for some religious, pious reason is not showing up, or is the one that is going the extra mile? That we can tune it up, and then sometimes those opportunities come and they are not convenient. When I was in seminary, a ministerial student, I entered a seminary in 2002, and I'd been blessed in my life. I'd worked hard. I had some money, some savings, and then Spirit says, you're going to seminary. I'm like, well, that's great. Yeah, well, you're going to go to school full time. You're going to pay tuition. You're not going to work. You're going to live off that reserve you thought you had. I'm like, what? Okay. So I'm in school, I'm doing this, and we have what's in seminary, occasionally every 10 weeks we would have an intensive where somebody would come, spend a day with all the ministerial students, and it was just a day of fellowship and intensive refreshment. Well, that particular day it was Daniel Namod. He's a great singer. He's going to be here in June. But Daniel had been here, yeah, he'll be here in June. He was there that day, and he was singing and sharing, and we were just blessed. And at the end, he was going to play the final song, and our instructors had said, so we're going to take this opportunity. If any of you would like to give a love offering, we're going to be passing that. And the instructor said, just inquire within, see what's yours to give. I closed my eyes, and I immediately heard, give him $500. I thought, what? You got to be crazy. The school paid for him. No, this was not worth $500. What? You must have meant 50. I mean, that's a stretch. Within a matter of seconds, I began arguing. But I know my guidance, my hands get sweaty, my heart starts beating. I just knew, it was like as clear as day. So now I'm faced with, am I going to have spiritual selective hearing? And hear only those things that are convenient. But I want to be a minister. I'm on the path, and I don't need selective hearing. I need guidance. I'm like, oy vey. And so I got out my checkbook, and I wrote it. And I'm telling you, sometimes when you're stretched with generosity, it may not be easy, but I knew. You see, if I had not done that, I would have just had this something. But I did. I wrote that check. I blessed it. I put it in. I kid you not, within the next 30 days, I got two unexpected. My home church, Unity of the Triangle, sent me a tithe for $1,000 right out of the blue. Some church in Texas randomly picked a ministerial school to send their tithe to. I had $1,800 within 30 days after I gave that. Now, would it have happened anyway? I don't know. I'll never know. But what I have come to understand is that's not the point. For some of you, when you get that hit about giving financially, you have selective hearing. For others, when you get the hit about open your mouth and speak up, you have selective hearing. For some of us, sometimes when we get that hit that says it's time to give some generous benefit of the doubt. It's time to give some generous forgiveness practice here. It's time to give some generous patience. I don't know what it is, but I know that generosity, you see, it's not something that we're doing for God. It's something that we're doing so that we can come to know ourselves as a part of the great flow of life, and these things happen through me. You see, goodness operates through me. The law of creativity is always moving and operating through us. I'm going to invite up our band, and I'm going to invite up two individuals, Terry and Karen Eve, who are going to share something in just a moment. So how do we begin? We've talked about you begin where you are. Find occasions to step it up. Be intentional. Don't play small. And the third is to make it a way of being. Mark Nepo writes the entrance of a book called Living the Generous Life. It's literally a study about giving and receiving. And Mark Nepo said, our generous spirit is our finest quality, our shining nature as human beings. Yet if you get your news about human nature from the nightly news or the daily paper or social media, you might think that we individually and collectively are not very generous at all. When we repeatedly remind ourselves and are bombarded with visions of distrust and mistrust and fear, it grows hard for us to nurture the enzyme of love and the spirit of generosity. We stop trying and we stop transforming. And so I sat down this week and found some real life stories. And I've invited two of our finest, most generous newscasters to bring this to you today. Would you please welcome Terry and Karen Eve.
Good evening. I'm news anchor Terry, Tell It Like It Is. And I'm here with my colleague.
I'm the new news anchor, Karen Eve, and everyone matters. And we're coming to you from station UNITY. And our top stories tonight are, Terry.
Earlier today in Brandon, Florida, 2 firefighters were waiting in line at a fast food restaurant when the siren sounded on their fire truck parked outside. As they turned to leave, a couple who had just received their order handed their food to the firefighters. The couple then got back in line to reorder and buy their meals again. But when they reached the register, the manager, who had noticed their selfless act, refused to take their money. The spirit of generosity was at work today. Karen.
And also today in Phoenix, Arizona, 7-year-old Zena Hamilton and her family were driving to the Grand Canyon. In Zena's excitement during the drive, Zena's favorite blanket...
Whoa. We got some breaking news here.
Zena's favorite blanket flew out of the window, and Zena was absolutely devastated. Her family drove to the closest gas station deli, and little Zena sat outside crying with her sandwich unopened. And then there was the roar of motorcycles, and a gang of tattooed, helmeted men got off their motorcycles, and one said, "Is that your blue Ford?" "Yes," said the mother, and he pulled out Zena's blanket. And the biker was so happy, and little Zena hugged the blanket and gave him thanks the only way she could, which was with her sandwich. So sandwiches and generosity.
And finally, we'd like to give a shout out to Greg Daly in Greenville, South Carolina. Greg is a mail carrier, and while he was on his paper route, an elderly customer stopped him. She had been having some trouble getting to the bottom of her driveway each morning for the paper. She asked Greg if it would be possible for him to throw her paper a bit closer to the house. He obliged, of course, but it did not stop there. Greg realized if this customer was having trouble getting to the sidewalk for her paper, what else may she need? The next day, Greg took the paper to her front door and also left a bag with a sandwich, some fruit, water, and snacks for lunch. He included a note that said, "My name is Greg Daly, and I deliver your newspaper every morning. I would also like to bring you lunch every day if you like. Please let me know if this would be helpful." The woman, who had been subsisting on Meals on Wheels, was so grateful to have this additional gift each day. Go, Greg. Thank you, God. Sandwiches and generosity are spreading our love from coast to coast.
So signing off, and thank you for tuning in to our nightly news.
Be generous, people. It's positively contagious.
So how can I serve today, sweet Spirit? How can I serve today? Oh Lord, speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you show me, I will go. I invite you to close your eyes. Those fun but true stories, they're all based on true stories. Sometimes we forget that every night on the news, and it's a good thing, we need to know what's going on, and it's true, there's a lot of really hurtful things going on. That's very true. But let me tell you this, there are far more acts of kindness and caring, loving one another into a new day. There are far more people that are practicing generosity. But the real point here is for us to take the opportunity to apply it within. What if? What if it really is true and it really is the ultimate, that the purpose of life is to discover what you're made of and what you're made for? What if the purpose of life is to discover what you have to offer? How your presence can be a presence of peace and love and kindness? How you are given things that you may move them forward? And what if in the doing that we come to discover that it's not taking anything away, but it's opening our awareness of how we are this point of consciousness, this being in a greater reality that is allowing us to connect with the dynamic flow of cause and effect, of spirit and substance, that as we draw forth and as we give forth, we increase our capacity to be one who gives. And so whatever we're wanting more of in our life is the exact area that we are primed to give. Wherever there appears to be a deficiency, a lack, not enough, a constraint, a constrict, some scary thoughts about it, that's the very area that we're called to begin to subtly practice. How do I begin to put this in motion? How do I begin to give in this area of my being, in my life, so that I begin to realize that I don't have to generate it all, that it's source originated. The divine ideas and creativity are always flowing through me. This week we spend some time thinking about what area of my life is calling me into a deeper experience of a generous spirit. How am I being called to more deeply know myself as one who has value, presence, worthiness, capacities, resources, energy, one who has access to these and who can give and thereby continually receive? So how can I serve today, sweet Spirit? How can I serve today? Speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you show me, I will go. And who can we love today, sweet Spirit? Who can we love today, my Lord? Speak in ways that I will understand. What you show me, I will follow. And where you lead me, I will go.
How can I serve today, sweet Spirit? How can I serve today, oh Lord? Teaching ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go.
So I'm going to ask you to slowly open your eyes back up. Keep that going if you will, Richard. And as you bring your awareness back and wiggle your fingers and your toes, be generous with your smile. Just bring a smile back with you. And if you're so inclined, please stand. We're going to sing it one more time and use this opportunity to recognize your capacity to send out good vibes. You know what good vibes is? Good juju, good vibes. So to use this as an opportunity to send your good vibes, your intentions to others that are here, to people that may come up in your awareness, and take a moment and send it somewhere in the world where you feel like it really may be beneficial. How can I love? How can I love today, sweet Spirit? How can I love today, my Lord? Speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you show me, I will go. How can I serve? How can I serve today, sweet Spirit? How can I serve today, my Lord? Speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you show me, I will go. Give someone a namaste. Namaste. How many of you are willing to stretch your capacity for generosity this week? And as so many of you do, I look forward to hearing about your stories. Thank you so much. You may be seated. You know, the universe has such a way of echoing points and things. We're beginning something new that is every second Sunday, we will be having a hospitality Sunday, coffee connection time, where we have some volunteers who have been very generous. Most of them have already stepped out of the room, but they've been very generous. They came in early. They made coffee. Some of them baked goodies. With their spirit of generosity, they want to create a space for us to connect. So that's supposed to be every second Sunday. But as you may remember, here we had a threat of snow, and so we did not have service that Sunday because they were predicting snow. So instead of it happening that Sunday, it's going to happen today. So you're going to get to experience in our community room. You can either go right out this door and it's to your left, or back out and around. But in our community room, there's coffee and an opportunity for you to connect and enjoy that time of fellowship if you would like to do that. Also, a reminder that Wednesday night I'll be teaching a class on affirmative prayer, and that's a very powerful experience. We invite you to come out to that if you're so inclined. I'd like to invite up our prayer chaplain and our ushers today. This is the opportunity in the service where we take a moment to acknowledge that, first of all, unity is founded in the practice of prayer, the practice and the belief of prayer. And so our prayer chaplains are available every week after the service. They're available that they will pray with you after the service. And this prayer box is an opportunity for you to put your written prayer request in. It's held in confidence, but we also send it to Silent Unity, and they are praying for it as well. And then one of our board members and one of our welcoming team members are here to collect our love offering, which we're going to hold our hands together and affirm this blessing of our gifts that says, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. I am now in perfect balance and flow with the universal tides of giving and receiving. Thank you, God, and so it is. Thank each and every one of you. Kat has got another beautiful song for us.
This joy that I have, world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it and the world didn't take it away. Okay, hold on. What is going on in here? Get up off your feet. Oh, I am surprised.
We're sorry.
Apology accepted. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Put your hands together. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it and the world didn't take it away. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it and the world didn't take it away.
Yeah. Oh, Kat and this amazing band. Yeah. And to each of you, what a beautiful example, Kat, of when everybody gives your energy, when everybody swings your hips and gets into it, how beautiful it makes it. Now, let's go within and sing the peace song. Would you please stand as we close together in song? And just a reminder of coffee and connection after.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.